Daniel Baldwin, thank you very much for joining us once again, and thank you for your insight on the program. We now move on. US President Donald Trump recently called for Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell to step down. Trump expressed frustration with Powell's policies, particularly the FED's decision to keep interest rates in a narrow range since December amid the ongoing global trade tensions. Let's listen in to what he said.
I think if Jerome Powell stepped down, it would be a great thing. I don't know that he's going to, but he should. Jerome Powell's been very bad for our country. We should have the lowest interest rate on earth, and we don't. He just refuses to do it, and yet he's spending $2.5 billion rebuilding the Fed, the Federal Reserve building. And I don't know what he knows about building, but you talk about cost overrun. So he got this approved, and he started the work during the Biden administration, and he doesn't look like the kind of a guy, frankly, that wants to spend.
Trump has repeatedly urged the FED to implement sharp rate cuts, even as Powell's term as chair runs until May the 15th. The White House intensified its criticism last week with Office of Management and Budget Director Russell Vought accusing Powell of grossly mismanaging the central bank, citing fiscal mismanagement and cost overruns for renovations. While the Federal Reserve Act limits the president's power to remove FED officials, the administration's rhetoric raises questions about whether they may be attempting to build a case for Powell's removal. We're now joined by Madhav Nalapat, who's the editor of the Sunday Guardian. He joins us live from New Delhi. Professor Nalapat, thank you very much for joining us. How unprecedented is it for a sitting United States president to openly call for the resignation of the Federal Reserve chairman?
Well, Donald Trump is a very unusual president, and very frankly, I think he's taking a very big risk. You know, the Republicans are supposed to be a party that's against very high deficits. It's supposed to be against a party that's against bloated government spending. They want the private sector to spend. But instead of focusing on supply bottlenecks, which is what he should be doing, he's focusing on lowering interest rates and making money much cheaper, and frankly, the risk of inflation much higher. Jerome Powell, I mean, you're talking about $2 billion, a lot of money for the Federal Reserve building. I don't think that's a valid argument. That's a pretty, I mean, there are some buildings in Washington that are not modern by any standard. They've been there for decades. And the Federal Reserve is one such building. So I think it badly needs a renovation, both the interiors as well as the exterior. So I don't think $2 billion is a very high estimate for that. But they're trying to, skew up Powell as a high spender when he's against government spending. Well, the fact of the matter is that there have been record deficits under President Trump. There's been record spending under President Trump. And very frankly, that's upended traditional Republican policy. Now, of course, Republicans are keeping quiet. This president is still very, very popular. And he's, of course, a very shrewd man. But the reality of the situation is going after the Fed chairman is not, frankly, in my view, advisable. And I'm not sure he will be able to succeed in getting him out, because Jerome Powell is not going anywhere. I don't think he trusts President Trump. He certainly doesn't trust his ability to control the budget. He certainly doesn't trust his ability to ensure that there is a sufficient reduction in deficit spending. So he's not going anywhere, and he's going to basically try and dare the administration to throw him out. If that happens, it will cause a tremor in financial markets, not only in the US, but worldwide. So in my view, Trump has been very badly advised to take on Powell, and I think he should let Powell be where he is and serve out the remainder of his term. They've got about a year more to go. And I think Trump should just wait out that 1 year rather than create a kind of a conflict with the Fed chairman, public conflict with the Fed chairman at this point in time.
Yes, indeed, Madam.